3, to show the way of purifying the soul. Okay? So this is what he was sent to do. And this purification is done through proper actions of ibadah, or proper actions of worship, and avoiding sins and avoiding obedience. Subhanallah. So thus, guys, if we were to summarize what taqwa is, how to achieve taqwa, how can I go about purifying my soul? How can I go about becoming a pious person, a righteous person, a God-fearing person? The way to do this is by, number 1, having sincere intentions. Having sincere intentions that the actions that I am going to do, I'm doing them strictly to please Allah, out of love for Him, while hoping for His mercy and while hoping for His rewards. And I'm going to do these actions out of fear too, fearing His anger and punishment if He is disobeyed. So this is how you achieve taqwa. Number 1, you have to have sincere intentions to do good deeds strictly for the sake of Allah, not for anyone else. And also the way to achieve taqwa is by doing the deed the way that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us. Because remember, he was sent as an example to all mankind, to perfect character, to perfect behavior. Okay? So I'm going to do this good deed to please Allah, and I'm going to do it the way the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us. That's how you achieve taqwa. That's how a person becomes pious. Piety is not from the way you look. You cannot look at a person and determine that they're pious or not. Piety exists in the heart, and only Allah can look in the heart to see if a person's pious or not. For example, I could go to the mosque every day and perform my prayer so beautifully, and the people say, wow, look how beautifully Laila performs her prayer. I'm doing it because I like to hear you guys commend me. That means I'm not doing it for the sake of Allah, subhanallah. And this is a problem. A lot of Muslims do good deeds that seem so beautifully to you, but they're doing them for the wrong reasons. They're supposed to be doing them to please Allah, not to please you. Whenever we start pleasing something other than Allah, this is when we lose that piety. This is when we lose that taqwa. That taqwa becomes a thing that is lost. Okay? And the number 1 benefit is fearing Allah will cause the general affairs of mankind to become easy. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Allah tells us in the Quran, in the interpretation, the meaning, and whosoever has taqwa of Allah and keeps his duty to Him, Allah will make His matter easy for him. So a person who has consciousness of Allah, Allah will make everything that you do easy for you. And also Allah says in the interpretation, the meaning, as for him who gives in charity and keeps his duty to Allah and has fear of Him and believes in a reward from Allah, we will make smooth for him the path of ease. So Allah makes it easy. Allah gives you the ability, subhanallah, to run a website, to work a full-time job, and to raise a family and do all the things that we do. Allah will make all your endeavors easy for you. This is the benefit of you having fear of Him and being conscious of Him and living your life doing the good deeds that He's ordered us to do, such as praying the 5 prayers every day and also fasting and giving in charity. The second benefit of taqwa is it protects mankind from the harm of shaitan. Subhanallah. Allah tells us in the Quran, in the interpretation, the meaning, verily those who have taqwa or fear of Allah, when an evil thought comes to them from shaitan, they remember Allah, and indeed they then see us straight. Subhanallah. Remember, each and every one of us has a jinn assigned to us, and that jinn's job is to try to seduce us to disobey Allah. So that jinn is constantly whispering in our ears, trying to get us, to deviate away from the right path. Okay? But the people who have consciousness of Allah, whenever they get a bad thought, they say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Man, that's wrong. And that thought disappears. Okay? So this is how Taqwa protects you from the harm of shaitan. And every time you say no to shaitan, he becomes weaker against you. Every time that you refuse to give in to the calls of shaitan, he becomes weaker and weaker and weaker to the point where eventually he won't be able to whisper to you at all. Okay? So that's another benefit of Taqwa. It protects you from the harm of shaitan. The fourth benefit of Taqwa is it also becomes the cause for opening up the blessings from the heavens and the earth for you. Subhanallah. Allah tells us of the people of the towns. These were a people who lived before our time. Allah tells us in the interpretation, the meaning, and if the people of the towns had believed in Allah and had fear of Him, certainly we would have opened for them blessings from the heaven and the earth. But since they didn't, Allah destroyed them. Another one of the benefits of having taqwa or piety or consciousness of Allah is that it causes you to be successful in distinguishing the truth from the falsehood. And it causes you to have knowledge of the difference between the two. And Allah tells us this in the Quran, in the interpretation, the meaning, O you who believe, if you have taqwa or fear of Allah, He will give you a furqan, which means a criterion to judge between right and wrong. Another benefit of taqwa is it provides provisions and ease from Allah. Allah tells us in the interpretation, the meaning, and whoever fears Allah and keeps his duty to Him and has taqwa of Him, Allah will make a way for him to get out from every difficulty. And Allah will provide him from sources he never imagined. Subhanallah, the true believer. For those of us who truly believe in Allah and have fear of Him and consciousness of Him, Allah will get you out of your trying times. This is why the believer is one who can handle anything that comes his way. The believer can handle any situation that he is put in because he knows that Allah will give him the way out of it. He can deal with polygamy. He can deal with a child apostating. He can deal with losing a loved one. He can deal with divorce. He can deal with losing his job. He can deal with his cat dying. He can deal with money being short. He can deal with his rent not being able to be paid or his car being repossessed because he knows Allah will provide him a way out of this situation. All he has to do is remain patient and calm and keep his belief going and keep his duty to Allah strong, and Allah will bring him out. So this is a great benefit of having taqwa. You will get ease from Allah. Okay? The believer doesn't worry where his next meal is going to come from. He knows Allah will get him through it. Okay? Subhanallah. Also, another benefit of taqwa is it becomes a means of attaining guardianship of Allah's religion. Allah tells us in the Quran and the interpretation, the meaning, the true guardians of this religion are those who are pious. Also Allah says in the interpretation, the meaning, and indeed the wrongdoers are friends and protectors of one another, but Allah is the friend and protector of those people who are righteous and God-fearing. Subhanallah. Okay? Another benefit of having taqwa is it will cause you to not be frightened by any harm.